Hey guys, Mark Ferrasci with ProTech Dog Training. Just got back from our Sunday bite work session with Norman Augustin. Norman's a gentleman I've been working with off and on for probably, in bite work, we've probably been working 5-6 years together, but in general, we've known each other for probably 30 years. He used to be one of my employees, believe it or not, at the pet store that I used to work at, and a major pet store chain I used to be a manager of. And he used to work in the fish room, and that back then, 20, 30 years ago, I think just before I met Susan Milan, he used to be in the fish room, and I would have my employees. I had 5 or 6 employees in a large pet store chain that we have here in LA. And me and Norman got to know each other pretty well, and I used to always talk about my dogs because I was doing my dog training back then, and I had a history of my dog training. And I kind of pictured Norman picking up on all my energy and everything, and then life goes on, and we fell apart, and I went off on my way, and Norman went off on his, and he started doing Schutzen. And Norman is a very well-known decoy in the LA basin. A lot of people respect him and know him. He's been around for a lot of years doing the Schutzen sport, and he's been real heavy, and he always likes to take really different breeds, kind of eclectic. He doesn't like just being with shepherds. Right now he's playing with a Bouvier. And doing pretty good with that, and then put some titles on them. But when I go out and I work with my decoys, a lot of times they're Schutzen decoys or they're ring sport decoys like Juan. But I like a decoy that I can communicate with and then get what I need out of it. And I don't do sport specifically, I do more personal protection. So there's some key things. I just uploaded a couple pictures, a couple videos of this morning's work with Buddy. And I want you to watch the way Norman's working that animal. He's doing exactly like I would want it to be done because we have worked together a lot. He knows what I'm after. And if you notice what he's doing, he's taking that sleeve and it's on the ground and he kicks the sleeve. He kicks it one way. That creates the dog's prey drive to go into action. The dog wants to chase after that toy, which is what they're working for. They're working for that toy, right, at this stage, at the young developmental stage of your bite work, all right? And then you'll notice him running back the other way, and he gets the dog's attention. He's kind of tapping him with that whip a little bit and getting him a little bit more frustrated, and he's directing his attention towards him, okay, and away from the equipment. So this is one of the key different developmental type of stages that we work with personal protection versus sport. Okay, we're always making the dog very centered on the fact that he's got to give the decoy his attention before he gets what he wants, which is that toy. We build the dog very similarly in a lot of different ways. We want the dog to have a good grip. We want him to be biting back here. We work on grips and strikes and all this development that's very similar to what you would do with a Schutzen dog. But we have a branch off. There's kind of a divergence in the way we're working the dog, right? It's there's a lot of little nuances that I'm trying to point out now. That's what I wanted to do this video about and kind of accent those couple videos that I uploaded just recently this morning. So with that, one of those is what I call picking the dog up. So I want him to take that prey item, which is the sleeve, toss it one way or kick it and get the dog's prey drive into action, and then pick the dog up and make him go towards the decoy. The idea with this is that the dog has to learn that if he gives the decoy his attention and gets built up in frustration, then he'll get what he wants. So if you notice Norman working, he's going over and he's kind of agitating the dog a little bit and getting him frustrated and getting him going on him. And then he does that with a little bit of a time level, right? Build the frustration, but then all of a sudden he breaks and he goes over and gets the toy that the dog wants originally. So what he's doing is he's developing the dog's mental aspect, the mental aspect of what the work is. Saying, if you give me your attention and you give your attention on me, you do that long enough, I'm going to go over and I'm going to grab that toy, which is what you want, okay? So we keep the dog's attention away from equipment. We don't do it like they do in sport, which they really develop the dog, and the dog is never taken away from the equipment, or not as much, okay? There's not as much accent points towards what I'm trying to accent here, okay? So the other thing that he's doing is what's called passive, okay? If you notice what he did on one of those routines, one of those videos, you'll notice that he's sitting there and we're having a conversation. There's a conflict, there's emotions that come from your voice tone. So that conversation is what he's keying on. He's giving me his emotional aspect of what he's doing. He's talking about, you didn't pay me. There's a discussion going on here that stimulates our natural instincts to communicate with our voice tone. That's why the topics are there. You didn't pay me. Oh yeah, I did, buddy. You better get out of here. And there's an interaction between the two of us, all right? And then I get a little upset. I finally turn the dog on. So the dog is getting turned on from a decoy that's in a passive state. We're not stimulating the dog. You notice that? And he'll do that a little bit more and a little bit more. As we build this animal, the aspects, the key accent points that we're using in building a personal protection dog are different than building a sport dog, okay? It doesn't mean that we're pissing the dog off and wanting a lot of teeth and all that, but we're developing the dog's mental aspects in more of a scenario-based type of a training, which means we're having a discussion. Hey, buddy, I didn't give you any money. You better get out of here. There's conflict in that discussion, right? There's emotion that's in that discussion. Another thing, watch Norman's work in these couple videos I just posted. And I'll post more videos for you to see. But notice how much emotional animation that he's giving the animal. Okay? He's giving this little, there's animation there. There's emotional animation, okay? And that's being a good actor. I always like to say that a good decoy is one of the best actors you'll ever find, okay? Because there is. You have to understand how to channel energy, okay? So we say it again. The energy comes from your emotional standpoint. What are you feeling when you're in this conflict, when you're in this situation with somebody? And we build these dogs in this way from a very young age, and we just keep building it, right? Norman is a very good decoy because he can give a lot of his emotional energy to the dogs that he works. He's got a lot of show dogs that he works out there. Show dogs are not that well known for doing protection work as well as a working dog. There's a difference. And he has a lot of them because he's very good at it. He gives a lot of his emotional energy to the dog when he's working the animal. Okay? So I'll post more of these videos, and I want you to kind of picture what's going on, and I'll kind of do a little yak of the screen type of session like I'm doing now, and you'll start to learn a little bit about what's going on. We got into a discussion today with a few people out there talking about the fact that this one beginner came out working his dog this morning, and he didn't have a clue. And I stopped and I backed up, and I have to put myself in the frame of mind. When I first started, I didn't know jack shit. I had no clue. And everybody else was chiming into the conversation, remembering what they felt like when they went out there trying to work their dog and they didn't have a clue with what was going on. They had no concept. The edge, the thing that I have over most people when I'm handling my dogs and I've got a good decoy is my ability to understand how to build the dog. And that allows me to communicate with my decoy properly because I can tell him what the dog is having done, who I worked with over here, what they did for me. And I'm always bringing these conversations up to wet the whistle, to get that juices flowing within that decoy's ability to work that dog. Once we start working, I let the decoy do what he's going to do because I've already seeded the pot. I've already had that discussion with him to let him know where I'm going and what I want to do with the animal and what's being done with the animal and where the dog's head's at in the work. Buddy is a good example of that. Buddy's work is very defensive. He's in a defensive mode. If I let that dog do that, and his mental mind state always works in that way, in that fashion where he gets into defensive, he's going to be in a dangerous dog, okay? We don't want that. We want the dog working more in a play and pray stature and a lot less pressure on the animal because we can always stimulate the defense in a dog like this. He already has it in him. It's his core, right? That being the case, it's very important I know how to mold and shape and get away from that genetic package that dog has. The key is understanding how to see it, what you're looking at, and to know it. And then work with decoys that can dovetail into your conversation so that you can direct the decoy on what's going on with the animal and how you want the animal to be built. Okay? When you're building the dog in sport, we have concise, consistent ways of building the dog. In ring sport, they build the dog a certain way. Right? In Schutzen, they build the dog a certain way. In PSA, they build the dog a certain way, dictated by the rules and the demeanor and the mental mind frame that they want to see in that dog within the sport. Because he will be getting judged out on the field by a judge that's judging him for that individual sport. And each sport is different. Now me, I'm a gypsy trainer, so that means I travel all over the place, and I'm looking for what I want to get my dog to end up being. What do I want? I want a dog that's friendly, fine, can go anywhere I want, that's very stable, but will fire on a dime. That's why I work on that trigger. There's videos that I've been watching online that these guys will sit here and badmouth people that accent the trigger. What I mean by the trigger is that dog's ability to go from 0 to 1,001 that quick on a key word and a key action from a decoy or an individual, right? But I want the dog to do that with a passive person. That's what that Norman, you saw those videos this morning. Norman was working that dog to be able to get fired up even when the decoy is not giving any stimulation. See what I'm saying? That is what you want in a police dog, personal protection, or real versus sport. Okay? So I'll let you guys go. I just wanted to yak the screen a little bit and kind of accent some of the points that you might not notice when you're watching this if you don't have the experience to see it. Okay? Those of you that are trainers that understand what's going on, you see it right away. Okay? So I'll see you later. You have a good day. I hope you had a good 4th and a safe one. I thank you very much. Mark Ferrasci with ProTech Dog Training signing off. Bye-bye.